Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tom, and today I'm taking a look at another arguably dead mall. This is the Auburn Mall in Auburn, Massachusetts. Not to be confused with the Auburn Mall in Auburn, Maine, which is only about a 2-hour, 45 minutes drive away. This mall opened in 1971, and the original anchor stores were Sears and a department store named Denholm and McKay. Denholm and McKay was based out of Worcester, which is just north of Auburn. And the Denham and McKay in this mall was their first and only branch location. Coming up on the right here is the old Sears location. The Sears closed in February of 2020, and here's a photo of what it used to look like. Probably my favorite part of this mall is how little it seems to have changed since the 1970s. I'm fairly certain that's the original ceiling there, and you can tell that just by the design of the skylights. They really didn't build anything like that much past the early 80s. And honestly, I don't see too many like this anymore. Most of the malls have been remodeled. I know this mall was remodeled in 1997, but from what I understand, they didn't touch the ceilings. This video was filmed on a Sunday at about 11:30 a.m. The mall opens at 11, and apparently a lot of the stores don't open till noon. So it definitely wasn't as busy as it probably would have been if I were here about an hour later. And here's something I've never seen before in a mall. This is a gachapon vending machine. And essentially they're like vending machines from Japan. I don't know too much about them, but I don't think I've ever seen one at another mall before. And once again, I really love the design of this mall. Especially this ceiling here, it kind of reminds me of almost an upside down boat or even a Gothic cathedral. It's really fascinating. I don't think I've seen any other malls with this specific design before. Now let's just take in the ambiance of the mall. And don't forget, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I do plan to have a lot more mall videos coming up in the near future. Thanks. So if anybody here has ever been to this mall before, let me know what you think about it. Do you think this is a dead mall, a dying mall, or do you think it's doing just fine? I'm kind of leaning towards dying mall. I don't think it's dead yet. Again, I'm comparing it again to the Enfield Square Mall in Enfield, Connecticut, which is truly a dead mall. This one I think is definitely on its way to becoming like the Enfield Mall, but I don't think it's there quite yet. And here's the food court, or the dining pavilion as they call it. And it's not bad, but it's one of the smaller ones I've seen recently. I think it only has 3 restaurants that I can count here. Looks like there probably was one right here on the right before, but that's, covered up. And here's another example of the architecture of this mall that I love. This looks later to me. This does not appear to be original to 1971. I would guess that probably is from the remodel in 97. Maybe, that's my guess. If anybody knows for sure when those ceiling sculptures or lighting fixtures went in, whatever you want to call them, let me know in the comments. Coming up on the right here is the site of the old Denholm and McKay department store, one of the original anchors. As I said earlier, it closed in '73. It then became Forbes and Wallace, and then at some point later than that, it became the Outlet. The Outlet closed in the '80s. It turned into a Caldor. Caldor closed in '99, and it became Filene's Home. And then in 2006, both Filene stores in the mall became Macy's. And then finally, the Macy's home store closed in 2015, and currently the Reliant Medical Group is in there, which moved in 2019. So there have been a lot of tenants in that specific spot. So I've been to a lot of malls in the last few months, as you probably know, and I would say out of all those malls, I've rarely, if ever, seen any kids ever using these kiddie rides. I know if I was a kid, I would love to ride in something like this rocket ship, especially when it's got the controls in there and the screen and everything, but I almost never see any kids ever using these. It's too bad. Whenever I go to these malls, I always seem to forget to bring quarters. Luckily, I did remember some quarters this time, so I figured, hey, what the heck, let's try out some of the candy machines. And so I decided to go with an old favorite of mine, Spree. If anybody else out there loves Spree, let me know. These Spree were a little bit chalkier than I remember, but they weren't bad. And straight ahead is Macy's, as you can see. From what I can tell, this was built in 1997 during a major renovation of the mall. And at that time, it was a Filene's. So this became the third anchor store. And then in 2006, like I had said, both of the Filene's became Macy's. And this is the only Macy's that's still open. The Macy's home at the other end, like we saw, closed in 2015. And for some reason, I'm guessing it was just too early, but the doors to Macy's were closed, even though there were shoppers inside the Macy's, so I'm not sure why the door wasn't open yet. On the right here is one of these old stores or possibly old restaurants that I've seen at a lot of malls. They all look exactly like this. This one, though, has been turned into an anime cafe, which I've never seen before. Alright, and like always, don't go anywhere. I'm going to take a ride around the mall and we can see what it looks like from the outside. Okay, so on the left here is the old Sears. Like I said, it closed in 2020. And it's still in pretty good condition, which is really to be expected as it's only been abandoned for a couple years at this point. So hopefully something else will go in there eventually, but, you know, who knows if that'll ever happen. On the left here is the Reliant Medical Group, which went in 2019. And like I said earlier, this was originally the original anchor store of Denholm and McKay, which then eventually became Caldor, then Filene's Home, then Macy's Home, and then the Reliant Medical Group. The parking garage on the left here was built in 1997, around the same time that they built the new Filene's in the center of the mall. Here's a photo of what this used to look like when it was Filene's. On the left here is the first security I've seen all day. Here's the current Macy's, which was built in 1997 as a Filene's. And there you have it. That's the Auburn Mall in Auburn, Massachusetts. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I do hope to have a lot more mall videos coming up in the near future. So until next time, I'll see you.